The following is an exclusive presentation of the LSU Sports Radio Network. Welcome in to the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Download the ASAP app today. Coming up, head coach Brian Kelly discusses the week ahead for LSU Fighting Tiger football. But first, from inside the Capital One LSU Sports Radio Network studios, here are former Tiger Gordy Rush and the voice of your Fighting Tigers, Chris Blair.
Tiger fans been counting down the days since November 30th, 2021. And now just a few more days to wait as LSU gets ready to open up the 2022 season this coming Sunday, taking on Florida State inside the Caesar Superdome in New Orleans. Great matchup, marquee matchup featuring two great teams, two great programs. It's a great city, great venue. It's going to be fantastic as we get things underway. Welcome into the Brian Kelly Press Conference presented by ASAP. Coming up straight up at high noon, we'll be joined with head coach Brian Kelly from the Lawton Room here at Tiger Stadium as he will once again set the tone, have some opening statements, and then, of course, take questions from the media. Happy to have once again this season Gordy Rush, former Tiger Gordy Rush. And Gordy, I mentioned people have been counting down the days. One of the things that every time I've seen you since Coach Kelly and his staff and people have been on the ground, and I know, and anybody who knows you, you like organization, you like attention to detail. And every time I see you, you say, that's all I see when I'm around football.
Yeah, I've been blown away on how efficient everything in this program has been. Practice, there's been some unique ways in which I've seen practices scheduled, and usually you get a flow from individual up to team. Well, they would work that in some special teams in between, and basically no wasted time, Chris. There's been a high level of execution. Everything that every minute that they spend out on the practice field has been well used, and that goes for Coach Kelly off the field. I got to work 2 charity events with him, and gets in there, does his business, does it very well, and in and out. It's been impressive.
You know, coming up, we'll talk about a little more about the matchup and what we know about Florida State. But interesting, visiting with Coach Kelly last week during his radio show, you know, I asked him, he said, hey, I've been doing this 32 years, and it's still also, you know, when you're inside a week to kickoff. It just feels different, and you could sense around the building. Got a chance to come over to Tiger Stadium on Saturday, take a look at the guys working out. You kind of sense it's different than it was 2 weeks ago, different than it was a month ago.
Yeah, especially you've gone through such a long camp out here. As hot as it is, has been in Baton Rouge. Of course, it's rained so much here in Louisiana, so that's changed you to alter practice. But again, when school starts, all of a sudden you get a little bit of momentum. And then when it's game week, that Sunday night meeting when the team comes back, the juices get going, you feel game week.
Again, probably a few questions answered today when Coach Kelly takes to the podium. Again, he's very upfront. Really have enjoyed his press conferences. In fact, all of the coaches, Coach Bolian, Coach House, Coach Denbrock, I mean, they come up, they talk football. So I don't expect anything different for this week and this official first press conference of the 2022 season. And you look at a number of guys coming back, and we could sit here for the next hour, but Coach Kelly's going to join us soon, talking about the guys that came back, guys who have joined the program, whether they be transfers, whether they be first-year players, a la Will Campbell, that we'll finally figure out here in a couple of days who's going to be up front on that offensive line, who's going to be in the secondary, out on the corners and at the safety position, how they'll utilize the linebackers. And, who's going to take snaps for the first play of the season?
I'm going to be interested to see what Coach has to say, because I know when you visited with him earlier this spring, he when they get in the game planning mode and they get in the game week, they shut things down. They're very, I don't know if you want to call it secretive. They're behind closed doors. That's the way that he likes to conduct his business. He was really impressed at how wide open he was in fall camp, allowing members of the media, former players, TAF folks to get out there and watch some practices. So I'm interested to see just exactly how much he's going to show his hand in this press conference. The other part of it is this, Chris. I've seen enough practice out there. They're going to play a lot of people. Defensively, they're going to rotate a lot of people in and out. There's different packages, and the competition is not over just because it's the first football game. It's going to continue on through the first couple games, I think, until you get to that SEC slate starting with Auburn October 1st.
Again, talking about how transparent he has been, and you talk about some of the opening sessions for the media, giving us a chance to see some of those battles. I asked Coach on Thursday, is there an advantage at all? Florida State getting to play Duquesne, albeit an FCS opponent at home, but Florida State hadn't won a season opener since 2016. And, oh, by the way, last year they lost the opener to a Brian Kelly Notre Dame team in overtime. Is there an advantage to either team? And, he was very upfront. He said, hey, it's a little bit of both. We get to see some of their personnel, some of the young players, as well as some of their transfers, see what they actually do with film here in 2022. And by the same token, they get to knock some of the kinks out from a operational standpoint. But again, just very transparent. It probably helps us in some ways, he said, and probably gives them a slight advantage in others.
That's the right answer. Coach Mac Brown from North Carolina made that comment at halftime against Florida A&M. It was a closer game than most expected. And he said, hey, we hadn't seen this quarterback. We didn't know what they were going to do offensively. Now we've got to be able to react. Well, LSU has that advantage because Florida State doesn't know exactly who or what to expect. On the flip side, I will tell you, playing a football game and getting some of those jitters out, and just I think you're going to clean up a lot of the execution from week 1 to week 2. We saw that at UCLA last year. UCLA had played that early game and really executed well against LSU in that second football game. I think he's exactly right. It's a little bit of both.
Well, moving up the press conference a little earlier this year, Coach Kelly going to join us from the Lawton Room coming up at 12 noon. We're going to take a quick break. We come back. I'm going to find out what Gordy knows about this Seminole team the Tigers will take on Sunday inside the Caesars Superdome. It's the Brian Kelly press conference delivered by ASAP. Tiger fans, make sure to download the ASAP app. Get all of your game day needs delivered right to your door. ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics.
Hey, Tiger fans, your new favorite local delivery app is here. Download the ASAP app to get all of your game day needs delivered right to your door. All season long, make sure to use promo code TIGERS22 to score free delivery and automatically be entered in the Winner ASAP Dinner Sweepstakes for a chance to win LSU tickets, autographed merchandise, and more. That's promo code TIGERS22. ASAP is the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics.
Albertsons is making shopping and saving easier than ever. Check out Albertsons For You in our mobile app, where you can shop for groceries and save weekly with digital coupons all in one place. With Albertsons For You, you can earn rewards points every time you shop and redeem them for free groceries. Brand new Albertsons For You members receive $5 off their next $25 purchase just for signing up. Download the Albertsons app or go to albertsons.com to sign up. Albertsons, fresh food, local flavors.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
We always picture the SEC student athlete for their speed, their vertical, their agility. But it's time we picture them for more. For their campus voice, their community outreach, and for the simple fact that 20 years later, they're still someone's pride and joy. More than students, more than athletes. In the SEC, it just means more.
Coach Kelly is just moments away from previewing the week for the Fighting Tigers. This is the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Once again, here are Gordy and Chris.
We will send you over to the Lawton Room coming up around 12 noon. Coach Brian Kelly will officially start game week. We'll have his opening statements and then, of course, take questions from the media. Gordy, before I get your thoughts on Florida State, a couple of numbers to throw at you. It's been a while since the Tigers and Noles have gotten together. 1991, the last meeting. Florida State leads the series all-time 7-2, but the Tigers are heading to Tiger Stadium East coming up on Sunday. Again, also playing on Sunday night, they are 3-1 all-time as a program. Excellent job, 14-5 all-time played inside the Superdome, 10-2 in regular season play. So those numbers I like in favor of LSU. But as we said, it's been a while since FSU and LSU got together. I said from the opening, great venue, great city, going to be a great matchup, great start, and should be a lot of fun. We got to see Florida State on Saturday against Duquesne. The Duke's a pretty competitive FCS program, but totally outmatched. Florida State was able to build the lead, I think 26-0 at halftime, eventually got 33-0, and then they just kind of cruised on to victory 47-7. It starts with their quarterback offensively, and what we saw, at least on Saturday, a three-headed monster running the football.
Starts with running the football, and that's where Florida State struggled the last couple of years. Mike Norvell came over from Memphis after having a great run there, leading them to the Cotton Bowl. And, of course, he got the COVID year right off the bat, 3-6 in 2020, and 5-7 a year ago. And at Florida State, the big problem was talent. They had struggled in the recruiting game, and with some of the obvious the transfer portals and things of that nature, they're depleted. And he did a nice job, similar to LSU, in going out and plugging some places where he needed help. On the wide receiving group, they had 4 or 5 transfers there. On the offensive line, the last couple of years, they've got 2 or 3 transfers that helped them run the football a little bit against Duquesne. And a tailback in Trey Benson, who's part of that two-headed monster with Treshaun Ward, who was a walk-on in the program. Trey Benson comes over from Oregon, and there's no hiding it. They want to run the football. They netted 406 yards, albeit against Duquesne, and that's where it's got to start.
Yeah, you mentioned the quarterback again, Jordan Travis. Last year had some big moments.
Yes.
Suffered through a couple of injuries as well. But all hype from down in Tallahassee is this is going to be the year he stands forward. And again, 11 of 15, not bad. Wasn't asked to do a lot. Again, when you had 3 running backs go over the century mark, led by Ward with 127, Benson, and then don't forget about Toafili. Mm-hmm. Again, he got some carries as well. Finished at 101 yards. You talk about adding to that offensive line, and I think when you talk to Florida State fans and those who cover the program, that lack of a running game completely started with the inability to have what they expected, the talent level, and really consistency on the offensive line. And to me, that's probably where you want to break down the film. How good is this front offensively for Florida State?
Yeah, we'll see. Now, keep in mind, against Duquesne, it was raining. They had a lightning delay. It was a wet field, so you really weren't going to throw the ball, and that you weren't going to be able to throw the ball that much. And then you come in to play LSU, and I think one of the strengths of this LSU team is that front seven. This defensive line and the group that they have behind it might be, one of the better groups in the country. How's Florida State going to be able to run the football against LSU?
Yeah, and we didn't see Travis really see a lot of pressure in the backfield. And when you listen to Coach House and even Coach Kelly on Thursday, they talked about the multiple looks, basing out of a 3-4, but you may see 4 at the line. Just trying to give them different looks to make them just have a few questions right before the snap. Who's coming from where? And that'll be, I think, the matchup to look at is how much pressure and disruption LSU can create on Travis. Because obviously, if he's got time to look, Micah Pittman had a great game receiving. I think had 5 catches in the game. If he's got time, he can deliver the ball.
No question. And he's an athletic quarterback. He can move around in the pocket. And because it was raining and it was Duquesne, they weren't able to get after him. But having a chance to see Matt House in this LSU defense in the spring, and then obviously in the fall as they put more and more of the package in, B.J. Ojulari is playing the jack linebacker. Chris, he has the opportunity to put his hand in the dirt and get down to 4-man front, and then he can play in space a little bit. And when you look at what House has done in the past, a little bit of Kentucky, and then with the Kansas City Chiefs, he's going to show a lot of different looks. And as I mentioned before, a lot of different personnel packages. They've got 4, 5, 6 linebackers that can play. You can go nickel, you can go dime. So it's going to be fun to see the chess match when Florida State has the football.
What's interesting as well, in the event that Florida State, again, has some difficulty of any degree up front, just running the football, pounding the rock against LSU's defensive front, I took a lot of notes from Coach Kelly on Thursday, and I think a lot of people, you may have caught it as well listening. He raved about the play of the secondary over the last couple of weeks, talked about the safety position, bragged about those personnel, and really felt like maybe what 6 months ago people considered a weakness, maybe not as weak as we sit here going into the opening game.
No doubt. We left this LSU team last year after they changed the defense after the bye week and really got after people and were able to blitz because they were so good in coverage behind. A lot of those people gone to the NFL or transferred. A lot of new faces in that secondary. It's good to have Major Burns come back healthy to play that free safety position. That's a quarterback of the defense, going to get everybody lined up. The questions are on the corner. Bernard Converse. Is it Richardson from McNeese? You've got so many new faces up there. Garner from ULL. Who's going to step up and how are they going to hold up in man-to-man coverage, making this move to the SEC and a little bit higher level of football? It's a question mark. The front seven, fantastic for LSU. How's the secondary gonna play? And they've had a good fall camp. Let's see how they respond against Florida State.
Also going to be interesting to watch the use of the linebackers. Again, we'll see a lot of nickel. Coach Kelly said that. He said it multiple times. Just that's kind of where the modern-day defense goes against the modern-day college offense. But they've also bragged about the rise of Greg Penn. They really love being able to rely on Baskerville, and they've got some guys they feel good about. And I think that back half, really from the linebackers back, was a question mark when we left last season, but maybe not so much this year. A couple of minutes before Coach Brian Kelly joins us from the Lawton Room. Let's switch sides a little bit. Defensively, could we take anything away? I mean, 47-7 against Duquesne as far as the strength of the defense for Florida State?
No, it was hard to get a read. And this Florida State defense had their moments a year ago. They lost both edge players. Jones went to a high draft pick to the New York Jets. So they have some new faces over there, but it's a question mark. And like you said, against Duquesne, Duquesne really wasn't able to do much against Florida State. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how they perform and step up in competition.
I imagine he'll be asked here in the press conference in some shape or fashion about quarterback or QB1. And I don't know, not sure if you know, any of us know if that will be revealed today. But from a wide receiver standpoint, you talked about earlier seeing a lot of different guys play. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things he's alluded to is we've got so much talent, a bevy of talent in the receiver room that we're going to see a lot of those guys rotate in. And it's been fun to watch those guys this summer and through the preseason camp.
We've had excellent camps. Everybody seems to be pretty healthy. Brian Thomas, I thought, did a lot of good things there. Malik Neighbors, who showed flashes a year ago, has been really, really effective in the slot. I think the question for me is to see the packages that Mike Denbrock's going to use at Cincinnati and some of his other stops. They like to use a lot of 12 personnel. They're one tailback and two tight ends. Cole Taylor, Mason Taylor have had nice fall camps, but not quite as deep, I think, as they've normally been at the tight end position. And with all of these wide receivers, do we see more 11 personnel and just put a third wide receiver on the football field? So that's going to be interesting to see. How does he adapt offensively what he's done in the past, the personnel he has this year?
Yeah, no doubt. Mason Taylor is one of those guys that really can do it all at tight end. So he is a potential threat down the field at that tight end position. As we wrap things up going into week number 1, another question mark area has been special teams. Those hidden yards in very close games can make the to And again, Coach Polian said last week, we kind of been spoiled, at least from the kicking side of things. But I think that's coming more into focus now based on what Coach Kelly's talked about the last couple of days.
Heard a little bit of Coach Polian from last week, and they've had a whole lot of competition. We'll see if they reveal who's going to be the starting kicker. I think everybody expects Bramblett to transfer from Notre Dame to handle the punting chores, but we have been spoiled here at LSU the last couple of years. Cade York, he kicked a 70-yard field goal in warm-ups in the NFL. I think we had such a good run here that this will be new.
All right, Gordy, see you in the Big Easy. Here's Coach Brian Kelly.
All right, thank you. An exciting time. First game. 32nd year for me in doing this, so but first year here at LSU, so really for me, taking an LSU football team into its first week of preparation for a game against a really good Florida State team is one that I think there's around the office, there's a heightened sense of excitement. Everybody is anticipating a great week, and our preparation has been one where certainly you want to see the culmination of your team come together and play outstanding football. So this week will be certainly with a Sunday game will be a little bit different in terms of the days, but it'll be the same in terms of our process. Today is really kind of a day off for our guys. We treat this kind of like a Sunday. Tomorrow will be our mental Monday day, where it's a lot of, game planning, scouting reports, things of that nature. We'll team meet. We'll go over essentially how we should be thinking this week about our opponent, the awareness that we need to have about how we play the game. There's a lot of things going on the road for the first time, even though it is in New Orleans. We are, taking our team away from campus, how we handle ourselves in the Dome, how not to be distracted in the first game, the importance of all of the traits that we talk about in an opener. Florida State's already had an opener, so they've already gone through that kind of routine. So we'll spend a lot of time talking about that tomorrow, and then we get into, our first day, which is, Wednesday, but it's an attitude Tuesday for us. Coming with the right attitude, getting after it in a practice situation is probably our most physical day. When we talk about our first padded practice day, Tuesday, our Wednesday, or again, moving forward in the week itself, the Thursday, is about being gritty. You've got to really focus and refocus through that practice, because it is the longer of the practices. You want to make sure you get all of your preparation work in. Thursday, which would be Friday during the week, is about being perfect. Red zone situation, situational substitution, 3rd and long, 2-minute, all of those things take place on our Thursday, which again, we go into a helmet and shoulder pad situation. Practice is shorter. It's about an hour and 5 minutes, which leads us into our Friday, which is about focus. Focus Friday is a walkthrough situation for us. We'll do situational substitution again, but again, usually the first 20 plays of our scripted plays we're going through defensively, making sure that we've got all the right personnel, moving from nickel maybe to goal line, making sure that all of those things are done right on Friday, which is obviously Saturday. And then, we get into Sunday, and I like to work our team out on game day when it's a night game. So we'll go to the Dome. We'll work the guys out. We'll move them around. We'll work up a sweat in the morning. And, again, I don't like to keep the guys locked up in the hotel room all day when we have a night game. So, again, we'll go to the Dome, get the sense of the surroundings. So, again, we're not distracted and seeing the insides of the Dome for the first time. And, again, getting them moving. So we break the day up a little bit. Get back, we'll have lunch, they'll have some time off, pregame meal, and then ready to kick it off. So that's kind of an insight into the week, and then it's from there, successful Saturday, and then we'll assess everything on Monday and get right back to work, because as we know, it's a short week. So playing a team that I'm quite familiar with, opened up against Florida State last year. Know Mike very well. Mike Norvell's done a really outstanding job in developing this football team. They're a disciplined group now. It wasn't the same group that we saw a couple of years ago. Last year they took us to overtime, the team that I coached last year. And, it's a team that has some talented players. Defensively, physicality at the defensive line position, athletes at the second level and in the backfield. And then from an offensive standpoint, it starts at the quarterback position. And Jordan Travis, I think he's certainly from my perspective, a great competitor, can make things happen. You know, people use dual threat quarterback. He can throw the football, he runs, he keeps plays alive for him. He didn't have to do a lot of that on Saturday, but he's led by a deep and talented receiving core. And then, what we saw on Saturday was rushing for 406 yards. So that certainly gets your attention. Any team that runs for 400 yards, regardless of who the competition. And Duquesne had, some nice wins last year. They beat a really good MAC team in Ohio last year. So this is a team that, has a good program. So it'll be a great opener for us, and one that we're excited about. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Hey, Brian. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yeah. Since you were here in this room December 1st meeting with us for the first time to now, how much have you gotten done that you wanted to get done? How ready are you? Do you always want more time
Sure.
for an opener?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that stand out. One, I think our guys fully understand and have been actively engaged in our process, and I know you hear that all the time, and you look at it as maybe coach speak, but our process has really begun to take hold with our players. It's not for them. We're just throwing something against the wall and see what sticks. They know it's extremely intentional. Everything that we do from checking their sleep patterns to what they put in their body to how we practice. And so that kind of total preparation, they understand that now. And so I feel really good about the fact that our team has understood and has really bought into the process of preparing themselves for this opener. There'll be other challenges along the way. We're going to have to stay, in our zone. There's going to be some challenges and some ups and downs that we're going to have to handle. But I feel good about it based upon where we've come from since December.
Hey, Coach Brian Kelly, right here in the middle.
Yes, sir.
Last Tuesday, you said the competition between Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier was really close. You possibly will come to decision by the end of the week and maybe Monday.
Yes.
Do you have an update on the quarterback battle?
Yeah, we have. We've made a decision, but I'm not going to announce it publicly. And again, this is for the Certainly, I think everybody here wants to know who the quarterback is. I get that, but I think it's a tactical advantage for us not to announce it. So I'm going to hold that announcement because I think it gives us a tactical advantage for not playing. Look, Florida State played a game. That's an advantage for them, having the opportunity to play. The advantage for us is that we haven't played. And so it doesn't help us to give up any of our cards in that sense. So we're going to hold on to that card until game day.
Brian Wilson, Alexander from The Advocate. The status of John Emery at this point, is he going to miss the first two games? Is there any change in that?
Yeah, so I've spoken on this before, and that, John's done everything that would allow him to be in good standing in the football program, but, I have things that are out of my control as it relates to who I can play, and that's not something that I can comment on.
Coach Andre Champagne, KLSU, what do you think the key is going to be to stop Jordan Travis's run game?
The key will be, obviously, playing great defense at all three levels, right? We just talked about their ability to run the football. If you can run the football that effectively, Jordan Travis can have a field day out there. So we've got to be able to stop the run, first of all, and be effectively, stopping the run. I think that is going to limit Jordan Travis, and if we can force him to be predictable throwing the football, that's going to help us a lot. As it relates to him in particular, He's a guy that you obviously want to box the edges with. You want to keep him inside the pocket. Once he gets outside the edge of your defense, he's extremely elusive, and he can create havoc. So I think from a defensive game plan, it's pretty clear that we've got to do a really good job against the run, which makes him predictable within the offensive structure. And then individually himself, we've got to keep him inside the pocket.
Coach, over here. On Saturday, we saw Malik Neighbors was dressed out but not doing any drills. What is his status?
Yeah, he should be good. I think today is another recovery day. I would believe that probably tomorrow he'll begin drill work. We'll be in a light drill work. But when we get into our normal routine of practice, he'll be cleared to practice. He had an ankle sprain.
Coach, right up the middle.
Yes, sir.
You said something about last week about not deciding on the quarterback, unsettling the offensive line. But both quarterbacks are similar, I would assume, in their preparation and your play calling. Is
Yes.
that an advantage in that we're not really splitting much up?
Yeah, there's some great similarities between the two of them in terms of what they're able to do. They both run extremely well. They both can make plays outside the pocket, and certainly we don't have to change the play calling. There's not a dramatic difference between the two when it comes to play calling. So you can imagine that, when we're talking about both quarterbacks, this is a 1A and 1B. This is not a 1 and a 2. And both of them, obviously are going to contribute this year.
Coach, are you comfortable naming Damian Ramos as your starting kicker or handling field goals, and then who will be handling kickoffs?
Yeah, I think Damian Ramos is going to start at the field goal position and extra point. And I think we're still in the process of making a decision on kickoffs. It's extremely competitive there. We feel like that decision is probably going to be made here in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Brody Miller with The Athletic. You've handled quite a few of these quarterback situations before. I guess what is your best strategy, for managing, say, whoever doesn't get the job, how to kind of keep them in the loop and engaged throughout the season?
Well, I think in this instance, they're going to be, so engaged because they know how close they are to playing every snap. It's not going to be, put your helmet underneath the bench. You need your helmet on because I think that they'll be that engaged in the game itself. So this is a little bit different where, there might have been a clear difference in terms of how, and I think answering the question earlier is that we're going to be natural in the ability to kind of flip to the next play with the next quarterback. This isn't that you have to turn over your play sheet and go to, Jaden Daniels play calls or, Nussmeier, game plan. It's one and the same. So I think that in itself keeps you so engaged in what's going on.
Brian, on your right in the middle. Matt Moscona, ESPN Baton Rouge. How does opening with Florida State a year ago help or assist in your game planning this week?
There's a new offensive and defensive coordinator for me. It's a whole new team. I don't know that it really helps as much as I can give and lend a little bit more, to our coordinators. I meet with our coordinators, daily, so I can give them a little bit of insight in terms of, what they're about and how they play the game and what they're looking to do on offense and defense. But that's about it. Other than that, this is a whole new operation for us relative to coordinators and the football team in itself.
Scooter Hobbs, Lake Charles, American Press. How long have you known who the starting quarterback will be?
How long have I known? Probably 48 hours. It's been that close. Yeah.
And does it annoy you at all that Florida State got that tune-up game in?
No, not necessarily. I think there's some pluses and minuses there. Like I said, I think we've got the advantages that they don't have any film on us. You've got a new head coach. You've got new coordinators. That in itself, there's the uncertainty of them knowing what to expect. So there is a bit of a trade-off there.
Hey, Coach. Steve Schneider, WAFB. Continuity on the offensive line, obviously important every game. But for this first game, avoiding negative plays, whether it's penalties or missed assignments, put you second and third and long.
All part of playing winning football, right? I mean, that's what, people ask me about, how do you feel about Saturdays? And, I enjoy Saturdays because my Mondays through Fridays are anxious because I worry about all the things that you just mentioned, right? And when I worry about those things, those are the things that we talk about every day in practice. And we stop practice if we see those things crop up, right? And then you just got to go play. And you hope that your preparation, not hope, but know that everything that you do from December on has addressed that. And that goes to winning. And so, yeah, all of those things are on my mind. But once you get to Saturday, you've got to go play and know that what you just mentioned, all those little things, they go to winning. And if you're doing that, you're in for a long day.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you were going to get the team to the Dome Sunday before kickoff?
No, we're going to get there Saturday. Okay. We'll get there Saturday evening. We're going to stop for dinner on the way in.
Walkthrough then.
Yes, yeah, we'll stay there Saturday evening, and then Sunday we get up. We'll have breakfast and then head over to the Dome.
And then you don't bring them back?
No, they come back to the hotel.
Okay, so that's the first I've ever heard of that. Most teams do it in their ballrooms or whatever at the hotels. You're going to have a lot of night games here. Is that something that...
Yes, we'll work out. That's why I brought it up. I brought it up so you knew what our routine was. We will leave the hotel. We'll come to the stadium. Let's say it's, an evening game here. We'll leave the hotel. We'll come in. We'll work out in the stadium, and we'll go back to the hotel. Yeah.
Coach, over here to your right, Ed Daniels, WGNO New Orleans. Coach, are you a fan of these neutral site games, and will you encourage the university to have them as part of the menu moving forward?
I think each one of them needs to be looked at, as a standalone. I think it's important to look at New Orleans as a site because of our fan base. I think we need to look at areas where we have strong fan bases and consider, those as neutral site games. I did them quite regularly where I was last year, and certainly the fan bases rallied around those. If we feel like those can sell out those venues and make it feel like a home game, you have to decide to give up a Tiger Stadium game. That's a hard thing to do, right? Because of, what this stadium does for a home field advantage. So that's a calculated decision, but going to New Orleans certainly makes sense to me.
Over here, Brett Martell with AP out of New Orleans. When we first started practice, you remember you talked about how there wasn't a lot penciled in relative to, last 10 years in coaching. And I'm wondering now, if you, beyond quarterback, are there certain key starting rules, whether it be the offensive line or the secondary, that you would be comfortable discussing today and the rationale behind some of those decisions?
Sure. I think that, the offensive line has been one that, the linchpin to the decision at the offensive line started and ended with the center position. Once we felt comfortable with Garrett Dellinger at the center position, everything else was able to fall into place. And when I say comfortable at the center position, the ability to call out fronts, the ability to feel comfortable snapping the ball, and then executing his technique. There's a lot going on there, and here's a guy who hadn't played the position. So, that's a big ask. Guy coming off of surgery, not active in the spring. He did an incredible job. To place all of that on him and be demanding. Some of you were at the practice. I was pretty demanding on him, and certainly required a lot of follow-up with him, spending time with him, making sure that he stayed confident in that, and he did that. Now, since that day, we were able to decide what was the best rotation in that regard. And we think Bradford at guard and Frazier at guard and Wire and Campbell at the tackle position gives us the best chance with those 5 guys. And so, Tremont Short's going to be in the mix. He'll get a chance to play. We're probably not in a position right now where 72 plays for the inside guys and the outside guys is feasible at this point. We're going to have to probably play 7 or 8 guys, but that's kind of one of those position groups that was penciled in that is now much more, solidified.
Hey, Coach, Glenn West, Go247. You guys have been mixing, receivers really in and out all fall. Just how many of those guys do you expect to really significantly contribute against Florida State on Sunday?
Yeah, we're going to go deep into that rotation. Having Jack Besh back and being able to up his work volume and getting him running, to the level that he's capable without pain has really given us the kind of flexibility that we needed at that position. Now we can move around guys to get suitable matchups. We can move Kayshawn. We can move Malik. Lacey now can go to the field or play into the boundary. Brian Thomas gets to, get into a position where we can move him around a little bit as well. So Dre Jenkins, as I mentioned, has probably been as consistent as anybody that we've had. So it gives us really a nice rotation and keep guys fresh. And as I just mentioned, I think that's 7 guys right there. 7, 8 guys is what you're going to see playing for us at the receiver position.
Hey, Coach, Matthew Bruni here. When you look at Florida State's defensive line, Cooper, Verse, McClendon, just what have you seen from that unit? Obviously, only 1 game from there.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, watching them during the season, inside size, at the defensive tackle position, they're not a group that's getting moved off the football. And they rotate them in. They can go too deep, inside, out. They've got some new players playing off the edge. They lost some, talented edge players, but there's still athleticism on the edge. But I would say that it starts inside out with their defensive line, which allows the linebackers to run. And again, what you can expect from this defense is lateral quickness, guys that can run to the football, and from a defensive standpoint, a team that's going to play some man coverage. They do play a lot of quarters, but in their quarters it becomes matchup man. So a team that has the athletes to match you up and the size to match up against what will be, for us, one of the big offensive lines inside out with our center and 2 guards that we've had here.
Hey, Coach, to your right, Jacques Doucet, WAFB TV. Coaches yelling and screaming on the sideline, that's nothing new. Fans enjoy that. It's part of the entertainment to a lot of them. I'm just curious, in your career, did you take a look at some point and say, maybe I need to dial some of this back, or my temperament or so forth, in terms of being an effective leader as a coach?
Yeah, I think we all grow. I don't think if you don't look at yourself and find out what's the best way to lead and develop your players, then you're not going to be in this business very long. So, I have my moments like everybody else. My office happens to be on national TV, so I have to be aware of that. But you have to be able to communicate effectively with the men under your charge, and you have to be demanding, but you can't be demeaning at any time. And so, yeah, I think there has to be growth. You have to learn from your mistakes, and you have to build off of that during your career.
You've been at some premier programs, and we all recall the alignment, word that you threw around so much. But football-wise, What luxury does the school, this team afford you that you're looking forward to exploiting, maybe a new one?
Well, I think the resources in terms of, having the personnel. I mean, I can tell you this, the three things that stand out to me are nutrition, strength and conditioning, and, our medical personnel and how that affects and has affected our team and their development. Those three groups working together in unison and having the physical plant. And when I say the physical plant, the nutrition center, the weight room, and then the facilities necessary in nutrition, to bring all of those three groups together to service and serve our student athletes. This is about the student athlete and providing those things necessary for our student athletes to be the best they can be. So that's the exciting part for me. And what ends up happening is the players begin trusting so much more because they see that you care about them when it comes to, their nutrition. They see that you care about them when it comes to, injuries and their conditioning level. Ali Gay, for example, is a guy that did not make it through any training camp in his previous years here. He did not miss a practice. And that's not just luck. That's training, that's nutrition, that's an incredible medical staff. That's all three of those groups. We had 2 soft tissue injuries. And I'm here not to, trumpet the, LSU way as much as to answer the question on how those three groups in particular and having the resources necessary provide for the student athlete.
Coach, on your right. If I could ask a quick follow-up to that one, is this as healthy a team as you've had coming out of camp, number one? And does the lack of experience at place kicker maybe alter strategy on Saturday?
We got a week left. Coming up to this point, Corin Norman, obviously we lost him to an ACL, so I never want to exclude somebody when they've had an injury and, because it hits back on you later. Coach, what about me, right? But it is, from an injury standpoint, this has been a great camp. I mean, it's got to be graded out from that perspective, and it has a lot to do with the way Coach Flint and Dr. Frakes and Bo have, developed this team, and then our players, and their commitment's been outstanding. So yes to that. You know what? When we make a decision on the kicker, we're all in. We're all in on we're not going to change the way we operate the game and protect anybody. We're going to look. I like to use analytics in the game. We'll have somebody with an analytic book just so everybody knows. So when we second guess the head coach later, you guys can, and that's your opportunity. And you're right to do that. But I use the book, and sometimes I use my gut. And answering the question is that you can't do that and then go away from it when you have a kicker out there and you're afraid of him. You got to let him kick.
Coach, you've emphasized the importance of being multiple on defense. Florida State had 2 running backs on every play. 3 of them kind of carried the bulk of the ball. How much does that impact your defensive plan, or do you think that was largely because of the conditions and the rain?
No, they've been a split-back team. Mike's always liked to, even when he was at Memphis and even at Arizona State when he's the offensive coordinator, he likes to run split-back. And look, the 3 backs are outstanding. You've got to get your best players on the field. So in that situation, 3 wides, he actually used, one of the tight ends and split them out. But that's his offensive structure. So that was not a surprise to us that he had 2 backs on the field. And it's a really good offense for them, and it's been effective. And, we were quite aware of it coming into the game. Great. All set. Thank you.
Countdown is on to kickoff coming up on Sunday, 6:30 inside the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. Again, Brian Kelly with his first game week press conference as the head coach of the LSU Fighting Tigers. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, run down some programming notes and send you on your way. It's the Brian Kelly press conference presented by ASAP right here.
Hey, Tiger fans, your new favorite local delivery app is here. Download the ASAP app to get all of your game day needs delivered right to your door. All season long, make sure to use promo code TIGERS22 to score free delivery and automatically be entered in the Winner ASAP Dinner Sweepstakes for a chance to win LSU tickets, autographed merchandise, and more. That's promo code TIGERS22. ASAP is the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics.
Who can relate? You're talking, but no one is really listening. At Our Lady of the Lake, we're making a commitment to you, the person listening right now, to check your vitals and what's vital to you, to take your blood pressure and understand the pressure you're under, to hear your words and be here to follow up on them, because hearing you is a big part of healing you. Our Lady of the Lake. We listen. We heal.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We always picture the SEC student athlete for their speed, their vertical, their agility. But it's time we picture them for more. For their campus voice, their community outreach, and for the simple fact that 20 years later, they're still someone's pride and joy. More than students, more than athletes. In the SEC, it just means more.
This is the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP.
We heard from Coach Brian Kelly headed into game week number 1 of the 2022 season. The Brian Kelly era will begin this coming Sunday night from New Orleans as LSU takes on Florida State. Again, kickoff set for 6:30. Boot will meet ball around 6:44 p.m. Central Time. Another chance to hear from Coach Kelly coming up on Thursday night, 7 o'clock. It's the Brian Kelly Show, live from TJ Ribs. Hope to have you there. If not, tune in across the state on the LSU Sports Radio Network or on the LSU Sports mobile app. Coming up on Sunday, we'll all be live from the Big Easy, starting at 4:30 with LSU Game Day, presented by 3 Olives. It'll be Hunt Palmer, Marlon Favorite, Brandon Taylor to get the day started with us at 4:30. And then Doug Morrow and Gordy Rush will join me in the booth for the action of Florida State and LSU. Thanks to Gordy Rush for joining me today. Thank you for stopping by. We'll be back here. Program note, Brian Kelly press conference on Tuesday next week following the Labor Day holiday. Until then, this is Chris Blair saying so long, everybody, and go Tigers.
This has been the Brian Kelly Press Conference, delivered by ASAP, the official mobile ordering partner of LSU Athletics. Download the ASAP app today.